again, if anybody didn't pick up early on in the proceedings, I'm Philip Marais, the startup program for Northern Europe, which includes UK and Ireland, for the OVHcloud startup program, and I'm chairing this roundtable today. So what are we focusing on? So we are sharing insights about the challenges and solutions of scaling a startup from pre-seed to seed and then up to scale up. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I've been working with startups for more than 20 years now, and my experience is that they are very resourceful and come up with unique ways of doing this process. And I think for me, that's what we can tap into today, is the unique insights of this great panel. So thank you, panel, for joining us. Audience, I hope you're going to enjoy yourself. So who do we have on the panel? We've got Yit Errol, founder and CEO of Fitzy. You might have seen their video earlier. Kelvin Summergham, founder and CEO of MyCare. You might have seen their video as well. They were the last one now on the main stage. Lagari Casas, CEO and co-founder of Refinery. They also had a video there. Then Heito Shimizu, co-founder and CEO of Digitalis. And then Chandresh Parla, co-founder and CEO of Yougo World. And they are all participants of the OVHcloud startup program. So they'll be able to bring the unique insights around that as well today. So we want them all to do a bit of an introduction, but to make it a bit more interesting, I'm gonna ask them to do that in the context of a question as well. So we're gonna start with you, Yit. So if you can tell us a bit about yourself, about your startup, and then also how have you funded your startup to date?
Sure. I'm coming from an engineering background and about 18, 19 years in the industry now. This is my third startup. I'm trying to get off the ground now. Exciting times. Basically, for the funding side of things, it was a struggle, if I'm honest. Last year, we started just a couple of months before the first lockdown, and already had agreements in principle with a few investors, about 3 or 4 of them, to fund us at pre-seed stage. And then the lockdown happened, and one by one, they decided to back out and support their existing investments rather. And then another 5-6 months down the line, chasing investments in a non-existent market, it just didn't work out. Eventually, I decided to switch all team to freelance part-time and fund the business myself to sort of optimize the spending and extending our runway. It was also around the time we got accepted to this OVHcloud startup program. The infrastructure credits we received felt like an investment too at that stage, so it was really welcome. So far, we made it to product stage from MVP ideation, and we'll be focusing on investment rather for scale up. Basically, as a startup founder, as a startup, doesn't matter what sort of circumstances are around you, you have to be resilient and adapt. So all in all, managed to turn this COVID situation to our advantage, I hope. And we even managed to grow our team by switching to freelancers throughout the journey and staying within budget.
Great. So that's a good example of being resourceful when funding was a little bit more tricky to access by tapping into cloud credits. Move that part out of your cash flow. That's a great idea. Yeah, excellent. Kelvin, can we move over to you so you can share a bit about yourself and MyCare, and what do you see as some of the ways to grow your startup going forward? Funding or other mechanisms? Share your ideas.
Thank you, Phil. So, Kelvin, I come from an IoT and smart cities background, and I've been one of the UK's advisor on smart cities across the world, Rio and Beijing. And I also advise the NHS on their digital health strategy. But in 2018, I basically quit my career to look after my father, who was diagnosed at a quite late stage of dementia. And sadly, when my dad passed away, I decided to basically do something different because as a family, losing my dad in the space of 6 months had a lot of impact on us. We went through a lot. And I also realized that what we've been through, a lot of people go through the same pain, and I wanted to change this, and this is why I created MyCare, and it's been a fantastic journey since. I still enjoy it. We're still having a lot of fun. But going to your question, in terms of funding, we've used a lot of growth hacking techniques, which is a method coined years ago, which involves like experimenting with various markets and product development methods to quickly find out who is the most effective customers and markets. And one example of this was using crowdfunding, where not only you have the crowd investing in your business, but you can turn them around into champions that they can then support you, because during the mass, between the mass, you have doctors, lawyers, carers, and all of them can bring some insights. And the word of mouth has been phenomenal for us, and they are the one that actually help us to grow and grow our business very fast, connect us to investors as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelvin. Yeah, I'm a big fan of growth hacking myself. There's books out there on growth hacking, so I suggest if you haven't read any that you go and find one and digest that. And yeah, I love the taking your customer and moving them into a different strategic box like that, and getting your customer to help you to fund your business. Always going to build great loyalty, and so that's definitely a nice growth hack. Absolutely. But yeah, let's move on now. So we're going to chat to if you can tell us a bit about yourself and your business, and then have you tried working with corporates as a route to market?
Hi everyone. My name is Shimizu. I'm one of the co-founders and I'm the CEO of the company Digitalis. Now, my background is very much software engineering, large enterprises. So built very large-scale systems, etc. But my business partner and I have been working together for over 15 years. At that point, we decided we want to set up our own business. Now, we've always been product guys, but we decided that the lifestyle change would have a huge impact. So we decided to set up a services company that would immediately bring revenues from the start, whilst we would essentially invest the revenue that we get from services into the product that we've been building called Axonox. And so we've not had to get any funding because we have been fairly successful with the services side of the business. But any profit that we get, we have been heavily investing back into the product. In terms of the question around the corporates, so because our expertise is around kind of working in large enterprises, so our target market for our service has been enterprises, so banks, insurance companies, FTSE 100 kind of companies that we've been working with. And there are massive challenges in terms of selling your services into these large enterprises. They don't tend to procure from small startups unless they're desperate. So essentially, we had to kind of think of ways to get into these enterprises, and friends, partnerships with various product companies, etc. And recommendations have been instrumental into being procured into large enterprises. Always remember, you need friends. You can't do this alone in the industry.
No, thanks, Too. I'm definitely passionate about the corporate startup engagement space. Hence, this is my day job. But yeah, it does have its challenges, very different cultures, and yeah, it helps to have a friend, and sometimes that can be program like ours, and there are quite a few as well corporate accelerators out there that can help you with that job as well. Just to keep the audience aware, you can post questions in the Q&A section, and we will be answering those questions later on. I didn't mention that up front, so please feel free to add any questions as they come to mind. All right, just moving on then, we're going to now chat to so it's Lugari. If you can tell us a bit about yourself and Refinery, and have incubators and accelerators helped in your development at all?
Right. My name is Lugari, and basically the CEO of Refinery, which is Edinburgh Napier University spin-out. And what happened is basically I did the PhD in the university for 3 years. And then once we finished, we went through a commercialization process, which include like an incubator, which is called Setsquare. And from there, we were able then to apply for Innovate UK grant and then start the company from the bottom up from there, basically. So this process, it really helped because not only helped with the funding part of side of things, but also it helped to basically figure out how this R&D technology that we developed over my PhD would then become a product and kind of find the market fit of the technology itself. So definitely, it's been a really useful resource for us, and I would totally recommend anyone in our position to make use of these resources.
Were there any specific, what was the vehicle that you used, the incubator that you used, and with any specific help that they provided?
Right, so I use iCure Setsquare, and the help that came out of it was basically that they provided funding to go out there and talk with potential clients and investors and see how our technology, which is basically an augmented reality tool that is capable of bringing objects to life. We go there to see potential clients. We showcase our technology. We try to figure out how our technology could fit into the company, and get with that feedback, then we could go ahead and put together a business model out of it and see how that basically later on would become a company.
Okay, no, great. Yeah, so we certainly partner with incubators and accelerators, and that's how you and I connected. And they can also be a great way of accessing a network as an entrepreneur to create opportunities, to get access to market and things like that. So definitely recommend, and Setsquare is an awesome one. All right, so let's move on now to the last introduction from Chandresh. Chandresh, if you can also tell us a bit about yourself and Yougo World, and have you used any structured approaches to grow your business?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Chandresh. I'm the founder of Cohesia. We're a startup studio and venture builder with a portfolio of businesses. I'm also a mentor and investor in a number of other ventures as well. One of those is I'm a co-founder of Yougo World, which is a startup. It's a global platform for mixed reality experiences and commerce. I'm a big believer in structured methodologies and processes. Why reinvent the wheel when people have already made a lot of the mistakes? So we've used a lot of method.
Seem to have lost you a bit there. Is anybody else noticing that?
Yeah, so we can't hear Chandra.
Not getting anything, yeah.
Yeah, Chandra, we've lost your audio there. Try and is that still dead? Yeah, we're not hearing you, unfortunately. So I'm just going to, while you maybe try and get that right, perhaps we can just ask you, Kelvin, another question. I know you've been looking at expanding into global markets. outside of the UK. We've got you back.
Yeah, sorry about it. As always with live events, there's always some tech that doesn't quite work as expected.
That was a fast recovery. Well done.
So I don't know how much you caught, but I am founder of Cohesia. We're a venture studio and startup studio and venture builder. I'm also the co-founder of Yougo World. We're a global platform for mixed reality experiences and commerce. I'm a big believer in structured methodologies and taking approaches that really, where people have made all the mistakes, so you don't want to reinvent the wheel. I think it's really important that we focus and use methodologies that have really been designed for startups. So don't try and use the old kind of methods. And there's quite a few things out there. So the things I use are customer development, business model canvas, design thinking. There's also an exponential canvas. And there's a new meta methodology called Purpose Launchpad. So all of them have tremendous value that they can bring when you're designing your startup. And what it helps you to do is really avoid a lot of the mistakes, because there's a whole series of checkpoints within there that you can make sure that you're doing the right things. So you can use design thinking to make sure that you have designed your customer avatars and your user experience. We use exponential canvas to make sure that we're connecting into and creating really a highly scalable, exponentially based business. I'm happy to send people details of any of the methodologies if they're interested, but yeah, highly recommended.
Thanks. Yeah, some of those tools can be really useful. Model canvas, all the lean startup techniques definitely can be very beneficial, and I've seen them applied very successfully with startups. Great, some practices of some of those. Just a reminder to keep putting questions into the Q&A. But a general question to be answered by everyone on the panel. If you can give us what your best growth tip is for other founders out there. If we can go back to you, Yit.
I would say video and social media, really. Just spread the word out on a personal level. The traditional ways of marketing doesn't seem to be as effective anymore. So it has to be more along the lines of sharing short and targeted sort of intros about your business, about what you do, and use influencers or channels or audio and visual, basically marketing as much as possible. That seems to be working a lot more efficient than traditional ways of sort of advertising, etc. That'll be my suggestion, I guess, right?
And is that done organically? Do you put money behind that? And any particular channels that you find have worked well for your particular business?
I don't believe that there is such thing as free advertising or free marketing. So you have to put a little bit of money on it. It's just you have to be careful about your spending. There's no point in spending tens of thousands of pounds into something that wouldn't return that much value at least. Again, email marketing, direct marketing, social video and audio-based marketing seems to be a lot cheaper in comparison, and returns a lot better value in the short term, because it's more direct, it's more personal, and you can target it much better and easier in terms of audience.
Oh, great, thanks for those insights. Kelvin, what's your top tip?
I think for me, I mean, the panel members have covered a lot, but for me, it's about try to get into those partnerships, the accelerators. With partnership, it's amazing because there are people out there that are already servicing your customers. And instead of you, and what Chandresh did mention as well, don't reinvent the wheel. Try to have a partnership with them, because if that works, straight away you have access to a pool of customers that you can tap into. But you need to be able to start by building that relationship first, because without that relationship, and it can be very transactional, where the discussion will start about margins and everything, and that just kills the whole idea of partnership. There are also accelerators as well. So through accelerators, we've been able to meet a lot of customers, partners, and use those properly, because a lot of us go through accelerators. We sit in those sessions, watch the videos, and then we come out of it, and then we go back to our day job, and we don't do anything afterwards. But please try to make the most of those accelerators. There are a lot of resources, but you can only be successful if you follow it through. And for us, I'm not saying it because you're here, Phil, but with OVH, OVH put some adverts out. There's the Madness, and that allowed people to reach out to us, people that would have had to pay for a marketing campaign, social media campaign. So again, we see OVH as a partner that has helped us to reach out to the greater mass as well. So thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. Glad we could help. I know, access to market is the big thing when you're a startup. It's great. You can build the world's best product, and if the market doesn't know about it, it doesn't help much. And I've run business incubators before, and my experience was when I saw these, young businesses coming into our incubator. Once we invited in there, they were immediately now in my mind space as somebody running an incubator. And I was actually thinking, now, what connections can I make for them? If they were sitting at home still, that person, they would have removed at least one person who was now thinking about their business for them without having to pay me a cent, other than for some space in the incubator. So it's a massive opportunity just to get involved with hubs and accelerators and things like that, because you just got more people thinking about your business. And over and above the visibility opportunity that we gave you, the one I think is underutilized with our program is that we've got a community platform with all the participants in the program on that platform. If you want an early market to try out your product in, particularly if it's applicable to other startups, use those kinds of platforms. You have to get over the barrier of getting yourself out there, but it's down to 6 more minutes. I want to keep things moving here. Ayetu, can you share us your top tip?
Yeah, so one of the things about the growth is that you are going to have to start hiring people or working with other people in your company. And when you're small, it's every person you bring into the company counts. And we've made a number of mistakes on hiring the wrong kind of person into a company at the initial stages. But just making sure who you're hiring into will drastically change your culture, or for the better or for worse, right? So really find the right people, right talent, who are passionate about the products or the service that you're providing, and really spend time looking for the person that you want to bring in the company. When you're in 1,000, 2,000 kind of size, the cultural kind of shift is not that drastic. But when you're like 2, 3, 4 person company, this makes a significant difference. So make sure you get the right people in at the beginning.
Couldn't agree with you more. It's absolutely key point, particularly for startups when they're moving fast and they don't have much time to think about every decision they're making. Spend the time on the people.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah,
I believe
Thanks,
the first 5 people you have on your business will get you to success or failure. The first 5 is the most crucial. They have to be right people with the right energy and right attitude, and they have to want it as much as you do as the owner. They are technically your co-founders at the end of the day.
Absolutely, yeah. They have to be kind of slightly all-rounded too. They need to be able to be happy to do anything, and not too worried about all the employee benefits that you get in a corporate. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. Right, Logari, can we go on to you next?
I would say for me, beyond the things that I have discussed already in the panel, I would say my tip would be to work with people that work with you before. So either, in a previous job in a corporate or in a freelancing, people that already did projects with you will actually, they believe in you and they know what you're capable of. So maybe you have a small startup that doesn't show like it has a lot of things, but they know you. And most of the time, they don't actually care so much about if the company is too small or not. It cares more about who is in front of the company and who basically is leading the ship.
Thanks, Logari. Yeah, great. And last but definitely not least, Andre, can you give us your top tip?
Sure. Just on the staffing and the growth sort of subject, I would say take an exponential approach. Design your business to be a next generation business. There's a world of abundance resources out there, and utilize staff on demand, for example. Utilize community and crowd. I mean, as you were saying, Philip, you have a community, connect into that. The best people don't work for you. There's all kinds of ways that you can actually get things done and connect into abundant resources. Use competitions or incentives. So for example, when we had our logo done, we actually had a competition to create it. So there's a whole bunch of resources that are out there and you can connect into. I mean, just to give an example, the platform that we're on, Hopin, is a remote first company, and they have employees in 42 countries, which is amazing. So, don't think that you have to take the old fashioned approach of having to employ lots of people and stick them in one little box. There's all sorts of incredibly clever people that, and maybe those people don't even speak the same language, aren't even in the same country. They may be on the other side of the world. So there's a lot of talent. So find a way to connect into those.
Brilliant. Yeah, I see we've also got a great tip coming through from our audience as well around sales and how key that is, and a kind of approach. Thanks, Tia, for that comment. And we also had just a question asking for Chandresh, your list of tools, so perhaps you can share those in the chat. Just while we're kind of wrapping up now, just if you could type in some of those tools that you suggested, business model canvas,
Sure.
some of the purpose, launchpad, and exponential canvas, you could type those in there just for the benefit of the audience. That would be great. Hopefully that was useful for everybody. Feel free to connect with us in the expo area, and obviously directly message any of us on the panel if you've got any specific questions or if you're interested in any of the businesses. Thank you for participating, and hopefully some of these tips will help you to exponentially grow your businesses. Look forward to engaging with you further going on. Thanks again to the panel. Some really useful insights, and all the best with your businesses as well.
Thanks, Philip.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.